welcome to another House of Wisdom, lightest and best knife review. And today we have a very special knife for you. This is the Para 3 Lightweight. And initially the Lightweight came out in a black handle with a steel that was BD1 in, and I wasn't very excited about it, but DLT Trading came out with this Para 3 Lightweight with red FRN handles and an M390 blade. Here you go, you can see it there, M390. And I just couldn't resist, had to get one, and so we're going to do a review on it. We'll talk a little bit about the history of the knife. First, Spyder came out with the Paramilitary 2, which sported a 3.5-inch blade and used the compression locks. And then they came out with the Para 3, which had a shorter blade. It was a 3-inch blade and G10 handles. And it was lighter, it had a forward choil, and a lot of people liked it because it was more the size of a person's hand. And now they came out with a lighter version, the Para 3 Lightweight. This version weighs 2.4 ounces as opposed to 3.4 ounces on the Para 3 regular, and so they've shaved 30% of the weight off of it. We're going to talk about it a little bit. Let's talk about the specifications first. The blade length is a 3-inch blade made of M390. The handle is a 4.27-inch handle. It's done in the traditional Spyderco way with the bidirectional grip, giving a total knife length of 7.27 inches and a weight of 2.4 ounces, noting again that the regular Para 3 was 3.4 ounces, so it shaved 30% off the weight in an ounce. For comparison, I'm going to compare it with its predecessors, the Para 3. This is the Para 3 that came out in M390 Steel. It's got a blue handle, and recently DTL Trading came out with a red handle Para 3 in G10. This is the FRN. And so there are two different colors of candle scales with M390. And this one is just another one. On my M390, I had an aftermarket clip, and so for consistency, this is the stock clip on the Para 3, so I wanted to have one of those. And note how it's different from the stock clip on the Lightweight, but we'll be talking about that a little bit later. The blade on the Para 3 Lightweight is made of M390 in this iteration. In its original version, it had a BD1N blade. It is a leaf shape typical of the Spyderco Para 3, and the method of deployment is by Spidey hole. It has the Spidey hole, you can flip it out, or you can just press on the compression lock and flip it out this way. Note that the pivot is on one side in the handle. For example, this is an FRN red handle. The original Lightweight was in a black FRN handle. It's got the bidirectional gripping so that if you push that way you get traction, and if you push this way you get traction. So it's really handy. And then it has the Spyderco maker mark, which is on the pressure point for the clip so that it doesn't tear up your pants as it slides into your pants. And also on the handle, it doesn't have liners, steel liners on both sides. This is just the handle. And then it has a liner on this side that contains the compression lock, and it pivots. On this side, it has a phosphor-bronze washer, and on this side, the blade rotates only against the FRN, and it does not affect the smoothness of the knife. As you can tell, it just retracts nicely, and there's no friction involved there. The lock on the knife is by compression lock. It has this little tab on the back that you press, and then it retracts to its place. I like this method of lock because you don't have, like with frame lock and liner lock, you have to put your thumb in harm's way. And this, your fingers are on the back and the blade can just rotate through and you don't worry about cutting your finger. There are lots of other knives that Spyderco has that have employed the compression lock. I'm going to talk to you about one of the granddaddies. This, many of you may have never seen. It's called a Spyderco S. It's whenever they had the powdered steels, and so they could put powdered steels into these modes, and they made sort of a spiderweb pattern on the knife. It's pretty cool. They don't make it anymore. And it had the compression lock. It was one of the first ones that had the compression lock, so you have that. They also put it in the Paramilitary 2, a Sal Glesser design, the Para 3, of course, the ATR, the At the Reed was the name of that. There's a Bram Frank Gunting knife, a Centifonte Vesuvius knife, the Junior, the Ouroboros, the Little Temperance 3, the Sage, the Salsa, the Super Hawk, the Super Leaf, the Sabo, the Yohimbo, and I have here the Little Native, and it had both a lock back and a compression lock. This is the compression lock one, so that's a nice one with the compression lock. Also, the Sage 5 has a compression lock. As you know, the Sage knife is the showcase for all of the locks. The Sage 1 had a liner lock, the Sage 2 had a frame lock, the Sage 3 had a bolt action lock, and the 4 had a back lock, and the 5 has this compression lock. And also, this is kind of sort of a compression lock. The Smock SK23, this is not made by Spyderco, but Spyderco licensed their compression lock. Instead of putting your finger in here to disengage the compression lock, Kevin Smock put a button here that compresses the compression lock from the outside, and so that's how it does it. And this has got these cool handle scales and anodized titanium on this side, and the SK23 had its origin in the compression lock, though it just looks different. It looks like a button lock, but it's a combination button lock compression lock. The pocket clip on the Para 3 Lightweight is one of my favorite. It's the loop over wire clip, and it has a deep carry component. I'm going to compare this with the original clip. And these knives are different in that the lanyard hold is placed separately. You'll notice on the Lightweight, the lanyard hold is smaller and is offset to the side, whereas the lanyard hold is at the end of the knife and it displaces the clip downward. Also, in the original, there is a metal lanyard tube, and it's a little larger. This one is protected from the blade, but it is encased by the plastic of the FRN handle, and so the blade can't touch the lanyard in either one of these, but I think this is better placement, and I'll show you a picture here of how it looks whenever you put it into the pocket. The ergonomics of this knife are great. It has the forward 50-50 finger choil, which if you have a large hand allows you to take a wide grip. And the finger choil, there's a little bit of raise on the finger choil so that if you're pushing into something and your finger slides forward, you don't get it cut. And not all the makers do this. I want to contrast this with the Rick Hender XM18. Here's an XM18. You have your finger here, and if your finger is forward, it's right onto the blade. There isn't this 2 millimeters of elevation that protects you spatially. The action on the knife is really good, just like the Spyderco 3 was. So you Spidey flick it, and then you just press the compression lock, and it goes back. And again, I like the compression lock because you never risk cutting your finger closing it. And we're going to talk a little bit about the differences between the Spyderco Para 3 and the Spyderco 3 Lightweight. First of all, the steels are different. On the original, it had a BDN1 steel, and this has M390 steel. The handle on this one is red. On the former one, it was a black handle. And the cost of this one is a little bit more. This costs around $130 or $133. And the original cost $91. So it's a little more expensive, but you have a colored handle and you have an improved steel. We'll compare it with a regular Para 3 now. The first thing that I've already mentioned is the clip is different. This one has a regular clip, surface-mounted clip. This one is a loop over deep carry clip, and the lanyard holds are different. This has a smaller lanyard hold offset to the side. This has a larger lanyard hold with a lanyard tube, and this has a deeper carry. So I prefer this clip for the simplicity and for the deep carry component. The handle is different also. In the original, you have G10 handle, and in the Lightweight, you have an FRN handle that has the bidirectional gripping. The liners are different. In the original, you have steel liners on both sides, and in the Lightweight, you have a steel liner on one side, and then it's just the the FRN on the other side. The blade, there's no difference in the blades if you get the original one. Well, here's the one with M390, but the blades are pretty much identical as far as I can tell. I don't think that they're interchangeable, but from here forward it is identical. And the blade stop is a little bit different. On this one, the blade stop is held in by a Torx bit screw, and then it has a tube there that it screws into. On this one, there is no Torx bit screw. This is a floating blade stop, and you just press the handles together with it, and I don't know that there's one advantage over another. And then obviously there's the price difference. It is for the regular one in M390, you can get this for $133, and then for the M390 it costs $146, and for the regular one it is $133. So there was just a small price difference of $13. And between the original and this one is $133, and then, or $130 for the original, I guess, and then $91 for the BDN1. So what do I think about the Spyderco Para 3 Lightweight? I really like it. Are there opportunities for improvement? I don't know that you can improve it much, except that you could continue moving it out in new sprint runs, different steels, different color handles. On the Para 3, they've put out at least a dozen sprint runs. This is the most recent one. This steel is K390. I've never heard of a knife being in K390, but they ran out of all the other common steels, and it has this light green handle, which I really like. Well, I assume that Spyderco will continue to do more sprint runs in this, and it's the company. It's DTL Trading, it's Bento Box, and this one I wasn't even able to get one of the originals because they sold out in milliseconds, how many ever they had of them, so I had to get it on the aftermarket, and I paid a little bit more for it. But they'll continue to do it because the engine that drives sprint runs is profitability. And if a company can, without any risk, order 100, 200, 300 knives and they're sold out immediately, then they'll continue to do that because it's the profitable thing to do with a popular knife model like the Para 3 and Para 3 Lightweight. What do I like about it? I like it because it's lighter. And you save an ounce, 2.4 ounces opposed to 3.4 ounces. It's 30% lighter. It's great. I like the clip. It's a deep carry wire loop over clip, and these work great. They don't tear your pants up, and they can ride in your pocket a lot nicer. I like the lanyard hole too because I don't use lanyards. I want it to be as minimal as possible, and I sure don't want it to displace downward the clip. And it's the right size. The Paramilitary 2 was way too big for me, but this just fits my hand if you use the forward finger choil or the regular grip just fine. And I like the compression lock. I like having my fingers out of the way whenever I close the knife. And the ergonomics is great. They always feel like a glove in the hand. Well, my final comments are, this might be the right knife for you if you like the Para 3 but wanted something a little lighter and you wanted a little better price. This is a little less expensive. And you prefer the deep carry clip. I wanted to talk a little bit about a segment leader, which is the Benchmade bugout, which is a 3.25-inch blade, and you can tell the blade is a little bit longer than the Para 3. So you have a longer blade, and it's 1.8 ounces as opposed to 2.4 ounces, so it's 0.6 ounces lighter. One of the criticisms the bugout had was the handle scales were a little flimsy, and they've been making aftermarket handle scales. I've seen them come out in titanium, in G10, in carbon fiber, and there's no real need for this. These are a little thicker and they're really nubby, and so you really don't need aftermarket scales for the lightweight on this. They're pretty durable because they're a little thicker. Also, the blade stock is thicker. You can tell this blade stock looks about twice as thick as the bugout, so you have a more substantial blade. Yet it comes to a fine tip because this is a full flat ground blade. So, if you want a heftier blade, a heftier handle, and then the convenience of the compression lock over the axis lock, I think the Para 3 Lightweight would be the knife for you. Tell me what you guys think about it in the comments section. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you on the next lightest and best House of Wisdom knife video.